where equality is just another euphemism for mediocrity, where participation is more highly valued than achievement, where just enough to get by is the new standard of excellence. There is a small minority of people who fight back against such apathy, who struggle daily to reach new heights. These brave few are the hope for the future, the bright shining light for the next generation. They are the ones who will lead us to the places we have never dreamed of, to the undiscovered country, to reach goals only a few can even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, none of those people could be here tonight, so kick back and relax. Prepare yourself for several hours of fun, friendship, fascinating conversation, and fabulous music. All those F's, that's an alliteration and kind of a radio trick. Speaking of radio, you're listening to the most popular radio station in the history of broadcast radio, at least among stations that originate from Chris's living room. It's Curious Times. Your host is a curious listener. Here she is, Chris.
Alrighty then. Hey everybody, welcome to Curious Times. It's Sunday. Oh my God, the weekend goes so fast. May 20th, and we have our friendly neighborhood Heaventologist / mermaid / death coach. I like that term, death coach. Anyhow, it's going to take a while for the rest of the world to catch up to me, I guess. Amy's here. She also is another one of us that does Reiki. I wanted to know how Dan's Reiki went yesterday. So anyway, okay, quickly let you know what's coming up. Tomorrow we have Diana Monroe, then Tuesday we're off. Wednesday, Kathleen Morris here. Thursday, Selva's here instead of on Friday. So then Friday we're off, and then Saturday, Corrine de Winter. Then a couple of days off again, and then Nick is here. It's another one where we have like 5 of something coming up here. So 5 Wednesdays, 5 Thursdays, 5 Tuesdays, 5 Wednesdays, 5 Thursdays. So that's will come next Tuesday we're off, is because Nick is like the last, to avoid confusion, Nick is the last Tuesday of the month. And so anyways, Amy's here. She doesn't need much of an introduction because she is undefinable, not definable. And unless you have buried 8 husbands. I don't know what that story's all about, but I don't want to have to testify. I wish people would be more careful about what they talked about in the chat room. I don't want to testify. Oh, a death coach is fine unless, yeah. I'll never forget when, was one of the first times I heard Renee Richards. And the way she had put it was, you know, that, all of her, she's on her 3rd marriage, I think she said on her 3rd marriage, and her other husbands died after she got divorced. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta find a better way to say that. It's like the penalty of divorcing Renee Richards is death. And so anyhow, that was kind of funny. Kind of funny when it got put that way. So anyway, let's just go get Amy. You can find her on Facebook at Amy R. Maid, AMYRMAID, Amy R. Maid, and that's a very witty way of saying a mermaid, MYRMAID. How do you like that? I love that wit. Okay, let's go get Amy. How's Amy doing today?
Oh, good. I just got home, so I'm still outside, so that's why there's background noise. But
I didn't even.
I had a big day.
Oh,
much too big for. Well, let's see. It started. It was a friend of mine's birthday. So,
nice.
So I went to her birthday brunch with my woo-woo friends that live here, who I usually just talk to on the phone because I do A Course in Miracles with them every morning. But it was the leader's birthday, so I went to her birthday. So I went to her birthday party with the woo-woo people. They're very sweet. And then...
They're very sweet.
They're very sweet. But they're so, you know, how woo-woo people...
Yeah,
well, these
it's
are
like
a
you have
unique
to
brand of woo-woo people because they're also... A lot of them are in recovery.
Oh, I see.
And they seem to think their story is special, you know. Oh, I'm an incest survivor. You know, they define themselves by the tragedies that have befell them. And not to make light of those things because they're, you know, horrible. But
it's not something you put into resume format.
Right. It's kind of like how long nose is running because I decided to have ice cream and I'm allergic to it. But anyway, I'll pull myself together in a second. So, how long are you going to define yourself by the shitty things that happen to you? Aren't you like letting that perpetrator, you know, evil acts live on by every time? So, whatever. But they're very sweet and and they really like me. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Hold on.
Because you're like Auntie Amy or something like that. Probably a lot. You know, everybody feels like they can just like spill it all, and Amy will make us feel better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it was real sweet. But then my other friend, I have no friends. I have my work friends, but I don't do anything with them on the weekends. And then I have my woo-woo friends that I always avoid doing things with. And then I have one friend, and she's a widow. And she's pretty fun. So then she called, and she wanted to go out to dinner. So then I went out to dinner. And that was fun. We went to some bar where her friend works. And that was great fun. But that was a lot of activity for me because I don't get out much. So, and then I needed ice cream because I was a little bit drunk. I thought ice cream would sober me up. And then I was like, oh my God, it's on the show. So here I am. So, the wedding.
Now I want ice cream. Huh? What's that?
The royal wedding.
Yes, the royal wedding.
I'm curious. As a Canadian, how much are you still part of the Commonwealth? Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So do you have, how do you feel about, not how do you feel about the Queen, but how do you feel about, do you have, a affection for because, for example, I'm not the most patriotic person in the world, but I do get a little flutter in my heart when I hear in the right circumstances, when I hear the national anthem or something like that. How attached are you to the monarchy?
Well, I mean, again, I'm the kind of a person that, is that I get attached to people. You know what I mean? Based on my feelings for them, not the position. So it's really quite easy for me to have a deep lack of respect for, say, the Prime Minister of the country, if it happens to be a racist, extreme right-wing creep. You know what I mean? And I feel no obligation as a Canadian to have some level of respect because that's our Prime Minister. So as how I feel...
How do you feel about Liz? How do you feel about Liz?
Yeah, no, how I feel about the monarchy is, Queen Elizabeth, I have some mixed feelings about. And it's because I have this problem where I can also take into consideration, where have they walked before? What has gotten them to here, you know? And what has their exposure been? Like if you grow up in the jungle, you know, I have to forgive you for acting like an ape kind of a thing, right? And if you were like raised by apes. And so so I have some mixed feelings for the Queen. And, you know, I mean, I recently saw, I don't like in any way, shape, or form how she handled the death of Princess Diana as an example. You know what I mean? Yet, you know, there are some things that I could find some compassion for the Queen about. And so all of that aside, you know, as I was talking with Corrine last night, because in overtime she wanted to know who gave a crap about the, you know.
Yeah, she was, that's kind of what's bringing this up, is because she was, yeah. And I get it. People are all over. I mean, I get the fact that, I get her line of it, but it seemed that Canadians, and even I noticed, like, one night when Silva was on, you know, she talked about Queen Elizabeth and the monarchs,
Yeah.
With sort of a familiarity, you know, like they were a part, you know, and it wasn't like an artificial familiarity, but she seemed much more interested in them than she should be based on the rest of her life. And then I noticed that some Canadians too were much more you know, knowledgeable about it and interested, you know, and you know, because I think of them kind of like as celebrities, right? So, you know, but so they have the same kind of knowledge that people would have, like Justin Timberlake or, you know, a Kardashian or something like that. And I found it a little curious because none of these people seemed like people who, you know, subscribe to People magazine and, you know, read up on all the stuff. So, I was curious.
Yeah. So, like, I don't care. Okay. The only two weddings I really ever gave too much care about, although I was somewhat intrigued by the Fergie Andrew wedding back in the day. I always kind of have pulled for Fergie, Sarah Ferguson.
God bless her.
And, you know, she actually was invited to this wedding, yesterday's wedding, and she looked great and was happy and blah, blah, blah.
Yes, it was kind of weird because she showed up alone. And, you know, she didn't go with her daughters. Her daughters went with their dad, like, you know, because they were higher up. Yeah, I thought she looked great. I thought she looked great as well. You see, I loved the wedding.
And when I
loved it so much, I can't even.
When I say that she looked great, like, I'm not looking at what dress or what shoes. Like, that's not how I define how someone looks great. You know what I mean? It's like how some people, if they say, "Oh, they looked great," like they're commenting on their wardrobe usually.
Like they liked her dress. Right, she had a cute dress, right?
Like
or she'd lost some weight or something.
You know,
but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, all of that was fine, but like she was exuding good energy, is what I mean to say. Now, before that, the only other weddings that I ever cared about, I have this very clear memory of you know, watching Princess Diana get married and caring a lot about that as a young kid. And I did not care at all and did not watch the William
and Kate
wedding, and you know, this one I have, and we spoke at great length last night in overtime about this. So I don't want to get too repetitive for the people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a disaster going on at my house, so I missed all that. So I don't want to turn time into a rerun.
No, that's okay. And I, you know, I think that I see that there's profound change. We're on the brink of this profound change, and And that the two people that are going to do that, is not going to be William and Kate, even if he does ascend to the throne. It's not going to come. It's not going to come through William, although he's going to tolerate more of this. But the true catalysts, here in all of this seem to me to be Harry and Meghan. And what the difference, though, that I found is that she came into this fully in her own power. And as a fully established woman in her own right. And so this is a different kind of an energy that's coming in, you know what I mean, marrying into this family. Usually they're much more timid. They have all
right,
been
like
raised.
the stuff that Diana had to go through, like to prove she was a virgin, and and it really, we've now found out, was a totally loveless arranged marriage, and they only had 5 dates before they actually got married. There's a lot of interesting, the totally different dynamic.
Well, sure, and anybody else is generally coming from royalty or a knowing and an upbringing where there's a great depth of knowledge about all of the do's and don'ts. And this is what I feel the most sorry about for a lot of them is all of these do's and don'ts, and there's just things that they can't do. So that there's a lot that and I was thinking earlier today that there's a number of the people in that royal family and the extended royal family who just have always had this sense of privilege, always will have this sense of privilege, and they don't really probably reach a level where they can empathize or care at all about the common person. And but I feel that Diana was different in that regard, and I know that both Harry and Meghan are different in that regard. I've seen it, I've felt it, and I look forward to the changes that will come as a result of the exposure that they're able to bring. You know what I mean, to the issues that they take under their wings, and just in general to the message that they have to more subtly give, because they're not supposed to be political and all of this kind of stuff. But they're finding unique and excellent ways of bringing to, like, just the ceremony itself and everything like this was they delivered some pretty good messages through that, and so all in all, there is no easy answer to that. I was saying in the past few days, probably the night Salva was on, that it kind of bothers me that we have this formality of having the Queen be our Queen, and that any laws that our Parliament passes have to receive royal assent, and as we're supposed to be, we supposedly had achieved our independence. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, that is kind of a thing that does bother me. Though I feel quite. And this could just be because this is how I grew up, but I feel quite okay or somewhat proud or whatever of being a part of the Commonwealth and this kind of a thing. But I don't have a great deal of warmth for. And it's funny because last night after the show, there was a couple of shows to wrap up the wedding kind of shows, and so I got to see a few of the bits and pieces of it on replay kind of thing. And she's 92, and Prince Philip is 97. Yeah, 97. And I was and then there had been this movie on yesterday that I had recorded, and I got around to watching it last night after the show, which was just simply called The Queen, and it was little bit of a, I'm sure some poetic license got taken in it, but it was to show Queen Elizabeth and even some of the closer royal family response to the Princess Diana's death. And they actually depict Charles, if everything in that movie's true, then I come away feeling a little bit better about Charles and a lot worse about the Queen. And quite surprisingly and shockingly bad about both Philip and the Queen Mum.
Mm-hmm.
They were the most toxic, poisonous comments, that were attributed to them, not the Queen. You know what I mean? In these little private, in behind closed doors kind of thing. And so, now as to the truth and veracity of those things, like, I'm guessing that some of this information came from staff, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that kind of thing. But this was all like Tony Blair had just come in as Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
And so politically speaking, they weren't all that thrilled about having a Labour guy in there, and then he actually was coming off as being much more much higher approval rating by the people than the Queen in the aftermath of Princess Diana death. And it reminded me of a lot of the things that, like the lack of response, how long it took to really get her, the Queen, to make any kind of a statement. Originally, she had wanted to throw all of these flowers away that were people were piling up at the front gates of Buckingham Palace, and then because they were in the path of the Royal Guard, and the whole changing of the Royal Guard and all this kind of thing, and she would have been she says, yeah, we'll just throw them out and blah blah, and the other person's all like, well, how about it, or we could divert the Royal Guard through the through the other gates, okay, she goes like that, you know what I mean? And so, but like a lot of these things, these decisions she had to get led to, and some of them took quite a lot more pulling and pushing. But there's some times when I can feel, great sadness for the Queen as well. You know what I mean? Not as it relates to the Princess Diana situation,
but just in general, like just the life that she had was a little bit peculiar.
Yeah. And, we have to remember how, how you're raised, is, and then if you don't even get to break away from that, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
but she didn't even, I don't even think she went to college. I don't even think she went to college, how seems like she was
but what you may or may not have known was that she was a mechanic in World War II.
No, I didn't know that. Interesting.
But a lot of the women were basically put to work in those kinds of jobs then, right?
Right.
A lot of people, like, we come out of our families in various ways, you know what I mean? But most of us break away, and then we have a period of either healing and recovery from our childhood experiences, or adjustment, or, in some people's cases, like, they had such a great upbringing and everything like this that they're going through a bit of a mourning period after leaving their family and going on their own, and so but most of us break away from that upbringing and get to start to find our own legs, find our own way. And, she didn't get to do that.
No,
but
it was, I thought
like,
that,
straight to duty and the rigidness that, and so as time goes on, I mean, more and more things.
The fact that her father, because she became queen because her father died, right?
That's right.
Right, because she's like, her father's dead, she's fairly young. she loses her father, and then suddenly, doesn't even really have a mourning period. She has to be the queen.
Yeah, that's right. And there she is, taking weekly meetings with Winston Churchill, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And she's this young kid or something like that. So, Maureen is so harsh on people, really. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is that what I didn't also realize is like how absolutely frugal the Queen is. She's absolutely frugal in so many ways, and they were even talking about when people go to the royal family for like get invited over for Christmas or whatever, they're kind of or any other kind of event. You know what I mean? You're kind of thinking like, oh, it's good, the whole dinner and everything is going to be all fancy schmancy, and it's really not. And so anyway, I'm not even going to look at chat anymore because but anyway, so that's.
I'm not in chat yet. I'm not in chat yet. But I did think I thought that message was, the minister that gave the message about love. I thought that was much needed. It was like, okay, well, we know the whole world is watching. So, let's take this opportunity to send out, a really important message. And,
absolutely. And the fact that there would be a much greater audience for this, and it's at such a critical time for the world. You know what I mean? There's such divisiveness and all of this kind of stuff going on, and so in addition to that, United States and every country has its own level of racism that's going on. It's not all. It's not white versus black necessarily, but it's racist. There is racism going on in essentially every country, and so the message coming across again for that, and then some strong messages for women. You know what I mean? To be in their own power, and so she delivered some strong messages, even non-verbally.
Walking down the aisle by herself. And her mother sitting there. I mean, it was there was just so much. And it seemed very sincere. It didn't seem contrived at all. It seemed very, very sincere. Now, I heard, and I haven't been able to find it because I've been in the middle of a crisis here that some people know. I think I have. I think I somehow got bed bugs, so I was dismantling my bed most of yesterday. But somewhere along the line, I heard that, from some woo-woo people, I think maybe the Gaia people or some subset of woo, that Harry is like a ascended man, like a Buddha, Jesus, highly vibrating cat. I can't remember exactly. I wish I could find it because I'd like to, but I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a chance to dig in and find it. But that he was special somehow.
Well, and I don't need any woo people. And I went into this, a bit last night as well.
Oh, so this is a total rerun again.
No, not in that way. But is that, as I said earlier, like I like or dislike people based on how I feel about them, not what other people tell me about them, not what kind of shoes they wear, not any of that kind of crap. Just what feeling do I get when I see them? You know what I mean? And as I've watched and become familiar over these more recent years with Harry, he is very special. And it's what I was saying last night is that, he is more like his mother, in my opinion, than his brother is, and in terms of depth of caring for the people, and how more grounded and down to earth and all of that kind of stuff that he is. He cares deeply about a lot of the same issues, and then his very own issues as well. That his mother did, and he's already had, Megan on the road with him out in countries and places doing that kind of work already. And I saw him, on some survival, kind of a show where where some celebs were teamed up with now either it was just his team or it was all the teams that had injured war veterans, and they, in a survival scenario, and you could see his compassion and caring for people there very clearly. And so I feel that personality-wise that William is a lot more like Charles, and Harry is a lot more like Diana. So I have great hope and a knowing, really, that especially with this particular wife, and I found it just so non-accidental, in the great way that we talk about nothing's an accident. You know what I mean? In this world, is that that his wife, is 36, is the same age Diana was when she died, and it's almost like she's like just hitting the ground running and picking right up where Diana left off. You know what I mean? The difference being that she's entering into this fully in her power. She isn't going to need another 10 years to, feel any kind of self-confidence in her situation or in her new family. And so, I really think that there's going to be great change in the royal family and all of this when the Queen dies. You know what I mean? There will be great change in the way things are done, and there will be a bigger relaxation and maybe a more humanization of the royal family once the Queen dies. I think then, because so much happens just out of respect for the Queen. You know what I mean? Just out of
but that said, the fact that she let all this go on, even him marry her, let alone yesterday turn what's supposed to be a very, state event into something that was much more showcase of their personal passions is kind of that in her old age, she's like, whatever, something's got to give. And whether that's just for her own self-interest, preserving the monarchy, or just a softening of her heart as she gets old, who knows. But I just thought I was just deeply, and I'm not usually moved by things like this, but I was just deeply moved by the event for yesterday.
It could also be indicative of the assertiveness and the confidence with which some of these things were simply not negotiable by Harry and Meghan. You know what I mean? And maybe the Queen has come to an acceptance of that, and they're not going to push it so far. Take a little bit at a time, but I just really feel like that things are on the brink of the words that came to my mind as I was watching that wedding was like, this is the royal family being reformed right before my eyes. You know what I mean? It's like a step on the evolutionary ladder or something like this. What's going on right now? It was wonderful.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt too, and not even just that, but that because they're royals and they're not political, and since the political system is just so mucked up right now because of polarization, in the United States and like look at Israel and Palestine, everywhere that that it was a big message for all of humanity. I mean, it just seemed epic. I felt for some reason I ended up, I forgot I had an hour difference, right? So I still had fallen asleep and coverage had started. So I was like, okay, I'll just stay up and as soon as I saw, I was like, wow, this is something really big going. This isn't just like a like a distraction or reality TV or something. This is something of epic proportion that could really bring forth healing. That if something like, and not just as far as race, although race certainly played a huge part in it.
Right.
But it just seemed so natural and so, in the way that they were so accepting of her mother, who not just, even if the mother was white, she's got a nose ring and dreadlocks and like, hippie, dippy, it's not. Anyway, I just felt like I was watching something epic, and I felt really good and hopeful for the first time in a long time. I felt a sense of hope that maybe we're not on the brink of disaster, and that maybe, if we just shift our focus to kind of what we think and what we believe, what we actually do in a day with the 24 hours that we're given, that maybe there could be some change, regardless of who is president, regardless of who is fighting with whom, regardless of, where the embassy is and stuff like that, that if people just went out and we're just who they are, warts and all, that we could bring forth some healing. So, and I usually don't feel that way. I usually, I have very little hope in the human race, but yesterday gave me great hope. So with that all said, on to the next topic.
And I do want to quickly say, and so not just the race thing, but again, empowering women. This is really important.
It was huge for empowering. Yes, it was huge for empowering women. The mother sitting there by herself, totally comfortable, not ashamed, not like, oh yeah, and her walking down the aisle by herself.
Yeah.
Her walking down the aisle, her getting out of the car and walking by herself, not being like, on the arm of someone, just was like so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah. Huge. And, anyhow.
It really was. It was just very, because usually, it looks like a scene out of a Disney movie or something. There's always a princess and they're always in freaking distress, right? So even though.
Go ahead.
This woman had a pretty bad week with all the, drama about her father and, and all this stuff, she just, marched out,
She's come to see, and this is what I was trying to, like, her authenticity, her, they have true love. That's very clear to see. But she's also very comfortable, not only in their relationship, but in her own self. And, that kind of confidence, is invaluable and is going to serve her extremely well in the situation that she's finding herself in now. So, I think that she's going to be the great role model, not Kate. But I also feel like that since I believe that William will be the one ascending to the throne, and if Charles takes the throne, it's not going to be for long. But since William is the one that's going to, then that frees Harry and Meghan up quite a lot. I think that gives them a little bit more wiggle room, but I feel that they're going to be the ones that are going to be the role models, not so much William and Kate.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because you can just see that the other two are much more timid, always much more timid.
More.
Even like when Harry went into the military, they all go into the military. He did 2 tours in Afghanistan, in like real military, not fake military, not smoke and mirrors.
He was their best active Apache helicopter pilot at the time as well, and so he did his time. He did his work. He did the hard work. He did the, he didn't take no handouts. He didn't allow any special favors due to his rank or position, and all of this kind of stuff. Anybody in his shoes would have had the right to wear a military uniform, but he had the extra right to wear the military uniform of his own battalion or his own, whatever the group would be called. You know what I mean? His own, I don't know what they call it, but his own, I can't remember what the word is, but so he had that, he earned that. He didn't have the right, he earned the right. You know what I mean? He had the right also, but whether he had served in the way that he did or didn't, but he earned the right to, to really strut that uniform. And that's another really strong indicator to me about the true character of him. And, I always say, I see he got caught smoking a little bit of pot when he was younger. Trust pot smokers, you guys.
Yeah, okay. I always trust the pot smoker. I agree.
Trust the pot smokers, But anyway, so yeah, he's. I feel that there's I feel hope, but it's not just limited to hope for the royal family. It's
no, it was hope for humanity. It was hope for humanity.
Yes. It's because
it really
if you think about how much
just that feel good kind of thing, when they have remember when they used to have Live Aid and this concert and all those different things where celebrities get caught up in it wasn't just a momentary euphoria. I just felt genuine hope.
Yeah.
And it's not something it's not something that I experience very often because I'm fairly cynical and whatever, but it just felt wow, this is really big. And and they're really very uniquely positioned on the world stage to bring forth the true kind of healing that that's needed.
Yeah. Well, and you think about how many people now the United States is engaged because now it would just prove to you how much ownership the United States, American people feel too, right? It's now all of a sudden it's because it's an American woman, now it's going to be their royal family now, you know what I mean? Americans are going to, singing God Save the Queen and, all that kind of stuff, but it's all the way around the world. The amount of interest and excitement about this event is huge, and so beautiful opportunity to lead by example, as I feel that they already are, and now we can sit back and see how things shake down, and and wait for the queen to die. Because I think that they'll be really able to cut a lot of the binds, loose fully once she's gone. I mean, I'm not wishing ill upon her at all. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but at some point in time, even if she doesn't, even if she's still the queen till the end, at some point in time, I think that, her, like, remember that night when her husband had died because the media was picking up that he had died, once he dies, which will probably be first, that'll probably change her, whatever. At some point in time, even if she's still the queen, she's going to have a very limited role. She'll just be, like, sitting in her room. She won't be out and about. She won't be out and about being the queen. So, anyway, it'll be interesting. But I was just reading, I was astounded by how, impacted I was by the events, Usually it's just like, oh, let's look at the hats.
Right.
I thought it was kind of funny too that during that when the I don't know if it was when the singing was going on or when they were singing. Oh my God! When they sang "This Is the Light of Love." Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like
and
some of the other boys, like those girls that look like the wicked. They were like rolling their eyes. It was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cameras kept like trying to catch the tradition. Some of them were. But there was always there was one around with those people.
Well, some of the more uptight people, they did not know how to handle this sermon at all. You know what I mean? And like the way I described it last night was like that. They were really trying to hold back, like, what would be this nervous giggle, junior high type of giggling if the sex ed teacher said the word condom or something like that. You know what I mean? But they're going to have to get used to that. And so there were even Camilla. I don't know if you caught that a couple of times. Like, she was kind of when that preacher was really rolling high. She was kind of like, had some little smirk, like she, and I could go thinking in her mind.
There was a lot of smirks. But then there was people like Elton John, who was so close to Diane, but he was about to explode with joy.
Well, and the other remarkable thing too was like that. There is only one reading at a royal wedding like that, and Harry chose his aunt, Diana's sister, and so there was that's a huge presence of Diana there in that way. It's not like at a eulogy where 15 people can get up and speak or something like that. You know what I mean? Aside from the clergy. Aside from any, the preachers, because they had a few different religious leaders, right, that were speaking. It was multi-religious and multi-racial event, which was also quite impressive, and the likes of which that church has never seen, and many of those people have never seen. And I really enjoyed the singing of, "Stand By Me." They did, not only did they do a great version of the song, but this all black choir with this woman choir leader with this white hair, like just more like she also was in a position of power, it was just all in all a very amazing, worthwhile. I could have seen it on replay, you know what I mean? But I was awake anyways, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I better watch this live, you know. And you know, I got a little teary-eyed a few times, and there was a time there where I'm like, come on, Diana, show yourself,
Right.
show yourself, go to them. I'm like, make them know, let them know you're there. Like, even if it's only that they know you're there. Like, they all know you're there, but I mean, let there be a sign. Let there be a sign, even if only Harry is the one that picks up on it. You know what I mean? But, like, go there and be with them. I was, like, urging. urging Diana to...
Fly. Get off your cloud. Hey, you, get off your cloud.
I mean, I knew she was there, but I was, like, urging her to, like... I mean, I would have loved that there could have been some overt sign. You know what I mean? That how awesome would that have been, right? How much would that piss the Queen off if something had occurred during the wedding that was that everybody then you know, was like, oh my God, Diana was there, you know what I mean? And you know, like if it wasn't such a blue sunshiny day, I was thinking like that otherwise there could be a cloud up there and the Princess of Diana's face could, you know what I mean, could be in the cloud or some such thing like this. But I was like, and maybe something did happen. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I was like urging Diana, like, do something. And so, but she, like the two of them couldn't be, like, how Diana ended was a lot like how, Megan is starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's certainly not how Diana had a long ways to go from the age of 20 years old, and the emotional abuse that she underwent, you know what I mean?
Well, the other thing was that she didn't have the power of love. I mean, she had some sort of love, like divine love or something like that. There's something, but you know, she knew she wasn't in a, you know, she knew she wasn't marrying the love of her, you know, she wasn't marrying the love of her life. She wasn't even old enough to have the love of her life yet. She knew that she was not this man's love of her life, love of his life. So, you know, so to have that true love, you know, that power of that true partnership on top of that all, is, like that minister said, it's like jet fuel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so I look forward to seeing what they do together and, you know, the further evolution of the royal family. And humanity. You know, this was good for humanity.
Right, exactly. Mostly humanity. I mean, we can live with the royal family being dysfunctional and unhappy or whatever, but humanity needs some sort of kick in the butt, and maybe these two are.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, listen, let's do a song, and then we'll figure out where we go from here. How's that? We're about the halfway mark.
Okay.
All right, so here, let's do this one, and we'll be back in a little bit, in about 5 minutes.
Santa Maria, Santa Teresa, Santa Anna, Santa Susanna, Santa Cecilia, Santa Capelia, Santa Dominica, Mary Angelica, Frater Ashes, Frater Pietro, Julian, Santos, Mirsa, Nadia, Nora, Loretta. it's one foot then the other as you step out on the road. Step out on the road. How much weight? How much? Then it's how long and how far and how many times. Oh, before it's too late. Call all angels. Walk me through this one. Don't leave me alone. Call all angels. Call all angels. We're trying, we're hoping, but we're not sure how. On every day, gaze upon the float that's so loud, intensely. Why? It's almost as if you could only crack the code and you understand what it's on me. But if you could, do you think you would trade it all the pain and suffering? But then you miss the beauty of the light upon and the sweetness of the leaves. Call all angels, call all angels. Walk me through this one. Don't leave me alone. Call all angels, call all angels. We're trying, but we're not sure. Call all angels, call all angels, call all angels, call all angels. Walk me through this, don't leave me alone. Call all angels, call all angels. We're trying, we're hurting, we're crying, 'cause we're not sure how.
Awesome. Love that song. Love that song. Okay, we're back. Quick shout out. Amy, of course, is our guest. And I think Corinne's called in listening in. Christy, CJ, the artist formerly known as Christy CJ, is in the house. Dan, the man, is there. Diane. Marie, how are you? Michael. Rachel, nice to see you. And Shelby. The great Shelby is here. And, and there were, I thought of you when I went to a food truck night and there was a waffle food truck. How do you like them apples, eh? How do you like them waffles? And so, anyway, let's go get Amy back. Hello, Amy.
Hi again. I'm trying to get in the chat room.
Hello again. Hello.
So, okay. So what's next?
Yeah, what's next?
What's next? What else?
Well, I wanted to quickly know how your Derby event went. How did you do?
What Derby event?
I thought you went to the Derby.
Oh, no, everyone thought I went to the Derby. That was kind of my, what I did was I couldn't go to I was going to manifest the Derby. So I made a hat, and I just acted like I was going to the Derby. But then it's Derby day. And the good thing I didn't go to the Derby because it was like pouring rain. It was like 2.5 inches of rain. It was just, it was not, it was not fun. But yeah, without telling any lies, I just was, because honestly, I couldn't afford to go to the Derby this year. Yeah. Very, very expensive. So, I just like pretended I was going. I just wanted to go so bad. So I just made my hat and actually wore it. There was a bunch of us bet. All of us, only Mary Margaret made a bet like $100 on behalf of everybody. And Mary Margaret got $5. So, and then yesterday, the Preakness was more of the same, just really bad weather. So, God, why can't I get in? So anyway, I did not go to the Derby. But see, it worked because somebody else, the girl I went to dinner with, she thought I was at the Derby too. Everyone thought I was at the Derby.
There you go.
So if everyone else thought I was at the Derby,
yeah,
I was at the Derby, but I never told a lie. I just, it was just an attempt at manifesting, which I guess worked out exactly the way it was supposed to, because if I had spent the kind of money that it costs to go to the Derby and had to deal with that kind of weather, it would not have been happy. So no Derby. I'm trying to think what have I done? Nothing so much. Nothing so much. I'm trying to become a morning person. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning.
Nice.
And that's interesting because it gets light very early here. It's light at 4:30. So that helps.
It's that time of the year. I was thinking the other day, like, gosh, just another, month and a half or a couple months of that, and then it's going to be the downward spiral again, I really
so fast. Yeah, time goes so fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter that doesn't even that I just can't believe it's gone from being the dead of winter when it was so brutally cold, and now we're almost in the now we're summer.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting.
Indeed.
What in the world? I don't know. My computer's acting up a little bit. So, okay. So who's in chat?
Marie and Christy and Corinne and Dan and Rachel and Michael, Diane. I think that's everybody.
Okay. Oh, I wish I could get into chat. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, so let's see. What else? What else can I talk about? I can't even think. What else can we talk about? La-di-da.
Who should we talk? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, who?
Shelby's also here.
Yeah, Shelby. Yeah, Shelby too.
Wow. Thanks, Shelby, for staying up so late. So, this is who's becoming a really big deal here in the United States is your gal pal, Randy Carlisle. He is touring and getting a lot of, all the cool kids really like her. So,
she's pretty a talented chick,
Yeah. And
that's
her
awesome.
story? Where is she from?
She's from Canada.
Well, Canada's a big place. Like, is she from rural part of Canada, or is she from like?
I have a feeling. Let me see. I can't remember now. Where is? And oh, she's an American. What? How is she? How are they saying she's American?
What?
She was born. She's born in Washington, Ravensdale, Washington.
Oh.
Early life. She was born in Ravensdale, Washington. Her mother's a singer also. Her mother began playing the guitar and writing songs at age 16, blah, blah, blah. Why did I have it in my mind that she's Canadian? Huh. How do you like that?
No.
She,
did some fact finding.
Yeah. Let me see, like, I want to think that did Brandy Carlisle live in Canada? Epic return to Toronto, blah, blah, blah. Brandy rescheduled. Wikipedia. To do Canada. Maybe not. What? I'll have to do more further research on that. Well, there. Like, your Americans better like her then. She's one of yours. Maybe she just got recognized a lot.
Big and can't right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, so then, okay, because I think I finally just got into chat. But when I was flipping all through IntuiTalks, trying to find some place where I could get logged in, nothing was working. I saw Yvette Howell's name. Has anyone heard from her of late?
No, I have not. I have not. Although, who was it? Corinne lately was mentioning, like, her life has just changed. I guess that, I mean, a lot of her time is probably being still spent looking after her husband,
Oh, Corinne talked to her 2 weeks ago. So is she doing okay, Corinne? Doing great.
Awesome.
Good for her. So, okay. So now let me go back and chat and see if there's anything that we need to talk about. I would like to know how you rewrite your past relationships with your ancestors myself. Okay. Okay. So, if we don't remember you know what I mean? We don't remember everything. Because we can't remember everything. We just remember collective things. Now, fact is, and this is the thing, for people who have had horrific things happen to them, regardless of the nature of them, whether, it was incest, whether they were a victim of a crime, whether they were, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, whether they had cancer or some sort of, that's only a part of our story. And when we have something horrible happen, it really is horrible. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so glad my father raped me. Or, oh, I'm so glad that my father was a violent alcoholic and, beat the crap out of us on a regular basis because now I'm a strong person. That's just, that's hogwash. But all of us have the tendency to fixate on certain things, you know, and it's just part of the story. And the more we fixate, you know, like, you know, when you see the picture of the brain and how it gets so dense, like what we think about, the more that we, like, think about, you know, recast the same story over and over again. And I see this happen when people join different support groups. I see it happen in AA. That we narrow our possibilities. We narrow our options. We narrow our range of motion by continuing to stand so close to the horrific things. And it does not mean that, you know, whatever happened doesn't make it any less horrific. I think that so many of us feel that if we let go of that, it means it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter to anybody else because everyone else, you know, no one cared when it was going on. No one, you know, they're not having a telethon for me, you know. They haven't named a day after me, you know. We don't get a day off of work for my day, like, you know. We don't care. And if we don't hold that thing, hold on to it for dear life, that it didn't matter. And it does matter. It does matter. It matters greatly. The thing, you know, the stories that I've heard the people that are here tonight share about different aspects of their life are wrong. They're horrific, and they should not have happened to any of you. But hold on, and I spent the day today with this girl, and she's studied A Course in Miracles now for like 10 years, and she, you know, and she teaches it, and she goes places, and people pay her money, but she still has not gotten over the fact that her father sexually abused her. Now, and in a way, you know, and it's like, well, no one cared when it happened. You know, it's like we feel like we are responsible for holding that truth. Because if we don't hold on to it, the whole thing was a lot. You know, the things that have happened to people, especially if it happened to people at the hands of people who were close to us, and then we've got family members who, you know, say that we're making too big of a deal about it, or, oh, it didn't happen that way. You're just making that up. You're just this. You're just that. You know, secretly, that tells us to hold on. That tells us to hold on to it tighter. But all it does is it makes it bigger. You know, you're still sort of giving them anyway. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm trying, because it does matter that these things happen to you, and they should not have happened. And you shouldn't, you know, to say, "Oh, I'm so grateful that my father raped me. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me," you know. No, that isn't it. But we have to look past it. I mean, I think Chris is a very powerful example of this, because she doesn't. Well, I believe that she has forgiven the people who did certain things to her. It doesn't, you know, it's forgiveness so that she can move on with her life, so that she's still not held hostage by the situation, it's not a kumbaya and suddenly everyone's sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner table together. It's not a like, oh, that's fine. It's no big deal. You know, let's be friends. No. You know, changes need to be made, but until you let go of whatever it is, or you're not. It's almost like you're denying yourself. It's almost like you're continuing the abuse. You're continuing the abuse because you continue to have this limited range of motion because you're being held hostage by your abusers. That's why. So to change the past, you just have to look at the other things, because we get tunnel vision about the thing. You know, we get tunnel vision about these things, and because it does matter. It does matter. And we feel like we're in charge of holding that memory. But it's not doing anyone any good. So at some point in time, just have to look at the other stuff. You don't have to look at it differently and come up with, oh yeah, well of course he did because that happened to him. You don't have to have compassion for your, to forgive a situation. It doesn't mean that it didn't have to be. It doesn't mean that you had compassion for your predator or whatever it was, the person that did these things. You just have to give you have to give yourself permission to
well, I mean, of course, it's for yourself that you do that. To let something go doesn't mean it didn't happen, doesn't mean it's okay or anything like that. But I wanted to add, another level to this thing, because the word ancestor was used. And so usually when I hear the word ancestor, I think about the people that came before me that were dead when I came into life. You know what I mean? People that, of course, they're all our ancestors and everything like that. But so I in my mind, I have relatives, who were alive when I was alive, and then ancestors who were dead before I got born. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And so there's some people who feel that they have ancestral junk, ancestral baggage.
Right, like curses, like generational curses and the sins of the father and all of that kind of stuff.
So now, first of all, I want to say this, is that I don't believe that anybody can rewrite anything. Now, you can change how you think of it, how you view it, plus you can double check to make sure that your recollection of events that actually did happen to you are as they were. Because sometimes we can take on, like the fish gets bigger, if you know what I mean. And so to the extent that we want to do a fact check on ourselves, and as the story grew within us, we want to, so that in that way the story could change in some way. But you don't undo or rewrite things, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now, ancestrally, so stuff that isn't your great grandmother, did something to the next door neighbor, or whatever other ancestral garbage you believe that you have, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it, or whether it really is or it really isn't. Really cool thing that I think you can do is that you can release that. And so you can do one of two things, which is to give back or return to sender, you know what I mean, any ancestral baggage that doesn't belong to you. It never was yours. And so you can return that to the person, not with any ill will or anything like that. And then some of the more hoofy-foofy, unicorn, rainbow, lollipop, candy cotton sucking people will tell you, oh, don't send it back, transmute it. You know what I mean? I don't care what you do with it. The idea is that let that stuff go too. So it's not unlike doing like an Archangel Michael thing of cutting cords that are no longer serving you. You may or may not be aware that those cords are there, but you can go ahead on a regular basis and you can ask for these cords to be removed, or you can do a visualization of yourself cutting, because we don't have to always give our power over to archangels or anybody else, in my opinion, either. We have fully got the ability
because again, I think that sometimes that can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, because we're looking for something or someone outside ourselves.
Right.
And then suddenly when it doesn't work because we don't feel exactly the way we thought we were going to feel, we're like, oh, even the angels don't love me. And
so you can take so if you feel in your heart, and whether or not you know or whatever, is you can just like take some time and sincerely, go into whether you do it through meditation or whatever, or just sitting there, in full awareness, is you can, with great intent is always important in my opinion, you can say anything that is, a part of my energy field that is given to me ancestrally, that doesn't belong to me and that may not be for my highest good or may not be assisting me in any way in my life, I wish to return to who it belongs to. Or I wish to transmute into positive energy and disperse that back into the universe. In whichever way you feel most comfortable. The idea is, is ancestral energy be gone. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not mine, I hadn't had nothing to do with it, it's not helping me, I wish it to be gone. And poof, gone. And there you're not then with, 20-pound backpack of ancestral garbage that you now are burdened with that has nothing to do with you. And so if you guys feel that, then there's nothing wrong with going and doing that. But again, I do want to say, like, I remember having a friend that did this Mune Key, which is like this South American shamanism kind of a program. And, she used to insist that she could go back through past lives and undo stuff. And I'm like, you cannot go back and undo stuff. If I got my leg chopped off, I cannot unchop off my leg, from 6 lifetimes ago. And, if I got killed at an age of 4 in a lifetime ago, I cannot go and undo that. Look at, or worse yet, if I, died when I was 97 after having, 20 children and 400 grandchildren, you know what I mean? Like, so I now go and undo that and go get myself killed at the age of 22 and then, effectively wipe out every single life of, you cannot just go and undo crap. Like, that really annoyed me. Again, I think that we can go back and we can heal things at that certain time that happened. We can deal with and heal and release and forgive and do all of those kind of things, but change and undo, I don't really think so. I could be wrong, but I don't really think so. What do you think?
And I agree. I agree with you. We cannot. But our past is our memories of the past, and there's so many things that did not happen. There's so many things that we remember differently than they actually happened. Even like good things, great things. I see this happen all the time with the widows. They remember their marriages as if they were freaking fairy tales, and there wasn't a single bad day, and and just remember. So we have to be careful about what memories that we give, because we only have so much space in our brain. We have to be careful about what memories we give the most importance to. And most of us give the most importance to, things that may not have been optimal. But the other thing that we need to do, that we all of us need to do on and redo, because it's not like, a lot of people say it's always like peeling an onion, but it's not, because it grows, when you peel an onion, it doesn't grow back another skin. It's more like taking off those calluses that are at the bottom of your feet. You just have to, pumice them off periodically. That we are not ready. Those things that have happened to us have become, we've learned to use them. What we seem to be to our advantage. And there's a perfect example of this. There's this call I go on, Course in Miracles calls. We do them every morning. One's at 6:45 and the other one's at 8:20. I don't know. And I go to both of them just because I'm a slow learner. Anyway, at the 8:20 call, there's this one woman. And when we get to the end, we say, does anybody want to put anything into prayer? Every day, 7 days a week. Woman, I guess on, please pray for my pain and my addiction. And it's almost like she doesn't even check herself to see if she's in pain or if she's made any progress with her alcohol addiction. It's just like that. It's just who she. That's just who she is. And so finally, on Friday, the woman who's the facilitator of it, who was the woman whose birthday it was today, she called bullshit on it. She goes, you say this every day, and you kind of drag all of us into your personal hell, and allow us to, because she gets drunk and she falls down a lot, she ends up at the ER. It's just a total train wreck. She's like, at some point in time, you have to take personal responsibility. Even though there is power in prayer, through prayer, because it's her prayer, was almost like the thoughts and prayers that we hear every time there's another massacre at a school. And it's like they're. Anyway, the the facilitator said, you've got to take some responsibility for this. She said, have you thought about going to rehab? You could have heard this woman's voice, because she usually has this weak little, oh, please pray for my pain and my addiction, like in this little barely can speak voice, right? But then when the woman who's the facilitator, who's also in recovery from alcoholism, said, have you thought about going to rehab? This voice, it almost sounded like The Exorcist. She goes, I would never do that. That unwillingness, and with the ferocity of her voice, how she was not willing to go through, she was not willing to go to any lengths for this. She was willing to, get on the call and get a lot of attention for herself, and ask for these prayers. But then when the answers were coming, nope, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. So clearly, in this case, is alcoholism. This woman has not hit her bottom. So for each of us who has something that's unhealed, where we have, and that's what I said at the brunch today. I said, I really like hearing this woman, Carol, because it allows me to think what aspects of my life am I being like Carol? What aspects of life am I sitting there whining, complaining, begging for help, but then not taking the advice people give me, or not doing anything different, not saying, okay, well, that's a great idea, but I would prefer to do this, not doing anything else in its place, and just taking up all this time and energy. And each of us has things, has thought patterns, has old ideas that are no longer serving us, that we are unwilling to let go of because we feel like we would lose our power. I think a lot of people get a lot of their strength and their power they become empowered by these adversities, and but it's not real it's not real power. It's just like we just hold other people hostage with our burdens, and then we ask people to help us carry them, but then we just take on, but then since we have help carrying them, instead of like it's supposed to lighten the load, we just dig in deeper. I don't know if any of this is making sense. But the big thing is we have to be willing to let go of this stuff. I have to be willing. In my case, it's my mother. I have to be willing to be like, yeah, so it wasn't great, but what am I getting out of continuing to redecorate hell here? Is it making is it some sort of retaliation against my perpetrator? No, because they could give a shit. Is it, what's it doing? And once you go through it, other than a little bit of attention that we might be, short-lived attention that we might get from others, unfortunately, the answer is absolutely, absolutely nothing. Yeah, and why human beings feel more confident running other people's lives instead of our own will never cease to amaze me. But then at the same, there's another side to that, Shelby, and that is why we are so willing to do for others while we're not willing to do for ourselves. We're so willing to go to the ends of the earth for other people, yet we're not willing to go to the ends of to the earth for ourselves. And there was something really beautiful in the going back to Corinne's favorite topic, the wedding of the not even of the century, it's of the age of the age. Hold on one second. I have to find the one that I loved the most of all the things he said was something like, love your day, love your it was basically like, love your neighbor, love your enemy, but most of all, love yourself. And how few of us love ourselves, and we go out and love other people, hoping that not necessarily the people that we love, but that other people will do the same thing for us, and when it's great to help other people, it's great to help other people, it's great to do things for other people, but I think we get ourselves in a trap where we are always looking to help others so that we'll feel this sense of entitlement that other people, so at the end, basic bottom line of the whole thing is that we're always looking for something outside of ourselves to heal us. Like, today at this party I went to, and there was like fools of all shapes and forms there, and so this one girl decides, let's meditate, right? Just what you want to do at an effing party is meditate. I'm like, are you for real? So we're gonna meditate. At first it was gonna be for 10 minutes, but she decided it was she decided while she was in her meditation that it was 20 minutes. So, sitting there. And finally I'm like, and I'm meditating, and so before we even start meditating, somebody was like, here, everybody, take a crystal, right? I was like, are we for real? Like, I mean, I'm all for, it was like, I don't even have words for it. It was funny because at about 15 minutes, because I thought it was going to be 10 minutes. So somewhere around 7 minutes, I started getting really antsy. Somewhere around 11 minutes, I was getting really pissed because I was like, this is bullshit, like, enough already. And then at like 16 minutes, I just called bullshit on the whole thing and I opened my eyes. And people must have felt me open my eyes because suddenly I saw other people opening their eyes as well. Meanwhile, this other girl, and a few others of the more unicorn race of woo-woos, were still like deep in their meditation, and it was like, really, it was just to me, it got to the point where it was just theatrics. It was just theatrics. It was just theatrics, and now I don't even know what I'm saying. But you get the basic gist of the whole thing. Like, don't bullshit, don't, just, whatever. Does that answer your question, Chris? Does that answer your question, Christy? What did you say? There's mundane and magical approaches. I don't even know. Yeah, there's mundane approach, and sometimes the mundane is necessary. Sometimes, the spiritual answer is not to run out and get more sage to clear the energy. Sometimes the spiritual answer is go do your fucking laundry, or, go wash your dishes, or something, like, it can't all be, there can be magic in the mundane. But, take care of your, and this is one thing recently that I've been realizing, that we think that the train wreck that we create of our life has no impact on other people. Like, I'm not hurting anybody by, whatever, my million bad habits. Like, I'm not hurting anybody but myself by smoking, or I'm not hurting anybody but myself by, not having control of my finances, or whatever, fill in the blank. But it's really our obligation to all of humanity be a well-run version of ourselves. Like when we're driving down the highway in a car, we've got 4 different tires on it. They're bald and the brakes aren't working, and the brakes are metal on metal. We think, oh yeah, I'm not hurting anybody but myself, until you get in a car accident and kill 6 people. We have a spiritual obligation to the rest of humanity, to be a well-oiled, well-maintained version of ourselves, which, sometimes involves doing things that are uncomfortable. Sometimes it involves doing things that are uncomfortable, including letting go of things that are no longer serving humanity. And, in my case, my disdain for my mother is not healing the planet, and, everybody else, you can decide what your thing is, but I know that each and every one of you has something that, think is only hurting ourselves, but it's really hurting the whole planet. It's really hurting all of, the multiverse, not even just the planet, the freaking multiverse. Even the aliens are impacted by by those things. Anyway, the end on that. So now what are we going to, what?
So Nancy, you got something to say, Nancy? Keep in mind we're recording, so you need to behave. Push 1 on your phone if you want to talk to us, Nancy. Push 1 and say hello. Nancy. She's not there. All right. Well, don't say I didn't say.
Shelby said she's staying up late for a couple of days. What's the special occasion?
No idea. Maybe just some time off. Someone trying to break into my apartment. What? So you're gonna catch him?
Oh no.
So you're gonna stay up late and catch him in the act, or what are you gonna do? So push 1 on your phone if you want to talk to us, Nancy. There you go.
Okay. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
What's going on? Yeah. What's going on?
Oh, Jen Young's even in the house.
Hey, Amy.
Hi, Nancy. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm a little sad, but I'm good. I'm good.
Why are you sad?
Oh, it all boils down to this. I do everything in my power. We have a little happy life here, And tonight, my daughter, we went to the pool all day. We took a nap afterwards. She woke up. She's 11, so, not a toddler. And recently she has found her faith, which I love. I'm like, okay, girl, you go. You go. Wherever your heart leads you, go. So she says, I said, you ready to go to bed? She was like, yep. Will you pray with me? I was like, sure, of course. So, and I'm not super religious, but, I know where my heart is and my God. So I did my Oh Father, like I always do. And she goes, okay, my turn. Okay, she goes, Dear Jesus, got 3 days of school left. She goes, I pray that there are no school shootings in the next, till 2019. Oh, my God. She goes, and keep us safe. And amen, love you. I'm like, oh, I cannot believe. But I kept it together, and I'm just like, oh, the heavy heart. I can't, it's everywhere, and it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
But she still wants to go to
Yeah,
school.
I get it.
She wants to go to school.
Yeah.
Right.
My God.
Well, here's the good news.
3 days of school left.
Here's the good news. Got an 11-year-old kid, through no prompting by their parents or anybody else, has decided that they want to pray for this. And it's really tragic that children have to put their minds and hearts, that they're so burdened that they need to pray for this rather than for that boy down the street to like me or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a beautiful thing that's where the child takes that problem. You know what I mean? Is to her higher power. And seeking assistance there with that. That's great, really.
Yeah. I
It's
agree wholeheartedly because clearly she realizes that it's not something that you can, it's not something that the grown-ups can fix, or it would be fixed already, So, so let's take this up the ladder.
Yeah.
And
it was just shocking.
It's got to get to a kid. It's got to get to a tipping point. It's got to get, instead of just the it's the guns, it's the mental. Everybody has their it's like it doesn't even matter what the
Hey,
cause of it is.
I'm not even trying to get political. I don't care about any of that. I'm just saying, this kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like, I don't want to get into politics.
I don't care if he's mentally ill. None of that matters. What matters is that it has to stop.
Oh, yeah. And I don't even want to get into that. That's beyond us. I'm talking about in my safe house, you know, like where everything is safe. The thought that, you know, I'm putting her to bed and that's what's in her head, like, I can't fix it. I'm not going to try to fix it. I'm not political enough. I'm not going out on any, you know, lines or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I can't fix all that, but what can, you know, like, what can I do to make her feel safe? Let her pray. If praying makes her feel like that's going to protect her, by God, that's what we'll do.
But, I mean, you know, and that aside, because, of course, we want all the children to be protected, but, you know, it says a few things about her, you know, because she's not only asking for her own safety, she's asking for all schools, you know what I mean, for all children. Like, it says a lot about where her heart is. She cares about people. She cares about this issue a great deal. And, yes, it is so sad that children at all have to think about such a thing, but, you know, that you see, like some kids might be praying, you know, that God kills anybody that thinks about even such doing a thing, or that, like, that there would be more of a negative or punitive type of a prayer attached to this type of an issue, right? That, you know, that your kid is, like, I think that at some point, because it took you off guard and you were, you know, saddened and shocked, you know, that this was your child's prayer, I think at some point when you feel it's right, maybe even the next time you pray with her, if she says the same prayer, then take a minute after and just say like that you're proud of her for, you know, taking something like that, you know, to God or whoever, Jesus or whoever it is that she's praying to, you know, and let her know that that's a good thing that she's doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
But that's what took me off. Can I, because on the computer I can hear you guys much better.
No.
Mute my.
No, whatever you're doing now, we have an echo. So.
All right, there we go. Never mind. I take it back. I'll just put the volume up on my phone. So that's what kind of got me off guard tonight. Just because, you know, you do everything to protect them, but, you know, every morning she wants to watch the news, you know, and so I let her watch the news, and I don't know if I'd rather her watch the news than Doc McStuffins or, you know, some kind of pretend stuff. So maybe, you know, I don't want to say I'm harming her by letting her be in tune to reality, but then you have the circumstances of reality. It's like, oh, well, it's not Doc McStuffins, baby. It's, yeah, the president and the wars and, you know, the daily, wow, you know, like all the stuff going on. And she asked me, and I'm like, oh, my God. You know, and I'm not.
I would put on local, you know, if it's in the morning time or something, most cities or whatever have like a local breakfast morning show or a local news show, and usually that's a little bit of a gentler news.
Not in Atlanta. No, not in Atlanta. We're better off with, like,
a national news. Oh my God, that's
Express. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's
no. I'm not trying to be all doomsday and stuff. I'm just saying, like, raising a kid with shit going on that's going on is kind of weird. And I grew up in Miami, so I get it, but good God. I mean, and I don't let her know all my, like, bad things that happen to me, so I've been trying to protect her all this time, and then it's like, oh, and they hear about it at school. Whether I let her watch the news or not, they hear about it, they talk about it,
There's no point in trying. It's not unlike any other thing, which is to say you'd rather that you, allow it in the home so that you can see what, and if there's a need to talk about something, then you're there to do that. You know what I mean? Than, letting them, be doing, getting their counsel from kids on the playground. You know what I mean? Because you don't know who they're getting their stuff from. So. It's better to be supervised if that's, for lack of a better word to use. But in my opinion, it's better if, because the kids, anybody has, a cell phone, an iPad, anything that's connected to the internet. And there you go. You know what I mean? And people have to have the talk with their children as well about all of the fake stories online. And, don't just believe stuff like that just because it's there. And even if it's on your news, you know what I mean? Then so we have to start to teach the kids, discernment as well. Because anybody can put anything, online, doesn't make it true. And there's oftentimes great, an incentive for, causing societal harm, to a lot of the crap that's being posted out there. And so designed to pit one group against another, or, you know what I mean? And
of
so,
course. Yeah.
So it's better to, again, it's sad, the kind of discussions that parents have to have with their children these days, you know what I mean? That you didn't have to have with your kids when I was growing up,
Oh,
no.
No.
Yeah.
It was, there was nothing comparison. So I'm like, oh God, it's a whole new ball game. But, I'm just deal with it the best way you can. I'm not going to isolate her. I'm not going to take her out of school. I mean, really?
No.
That's not going to happen.
No,
I didn't get taken out of life. It's just life. You just can't just be, oh, well, life's bad, I'm going to take you out of it. No, I can't do that. I mean, it is what it is. But, can I talk to Amy for a moment?
Yeah?
About these freaking dreams. I don't know if you have anything to do with dreams, but if you could give me some insight. I have been dreaming. I'm on the water every night I go to bed. I'm on the water. I'm in a cruise boat. I'm in a yacht. I'm in a paddle boat. I'm on the water every night when I go to bed. Every night. And I don't know why. I mean, it is almost every night. It's an adventure. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Lost.
How do you feel? Like you're, okay, because I mean, it could mean many different things, but really the key is how do you feel afterwards? Because some people spend the day on the water and they feel, better, they are enriched by it. And then some people spend the day on the water and they feel disoriented. So really the key is how do you feel?
I'm lost, and then I find I get to a place and I'm like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's usually how it goes. I'm lost. Well, I'm always lost. I've been lost ever since I was born. So I get lost, then I get found, and then it's beautiful. It's like the most amazing, beautiful sight I've ever seen in my entire life. Then all I want to do is get back there. So every night I'm like on an adventure, and it's kind of wearing because I wake up a little bit tired from just my dreams. I'm like, oh my God, I met this person and that person, and I'm like having a whole story, or this whole storyline, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was fun and beautiful, but damn, I'm tired. Why do I have to have that much fun while I'm asleep and not when I'm awake? Every night on the water, and I don't get it.
That's
it's been going on for 6 months.
That's the message, is that, because there really is no difference between our sleep time and our awake time other than our behavior. So perhaps you need to take a look at where the different parts in your awake life are you creating, making waves where there don't need to be, making waves, and how can you have smoother sailing during the awake time? Now with an 11-year-old and all those kind of things, there's stuff that comes up, but like some of the stuff I was talking about earlier, we get during our wake hours when we're in our roles that we're in, whatever they may be, we can start getting so uppity, so self-important, so self-important, and so this is an outrage. I'm
sorry, I wasn't here for that. So
what?
I have to. I wasn't here earlier.
Anyway, so this is an outrage, and then we get so we just get so caught up in ourselves, sometimes too much so. Same thing, with our, with everything, even the situation like this lady, what you were talking about, your daughter praying and stuff like that. How much time do each and every one of us spend oh, can you believe that something has to happen, but then we don't do anything. We wait for someone else to, and that's a very important message that you can teach your daughter, that, faith without works is dead. So just these empty prayers, going back to this woman, the alcoholic lady, you just please pray for me, and my addiction. Yet she's not willing to do anything. Teach your daughter and remind yourself that, that your daughter, perhaps the next time she brings this up, you could suggest to your daughter that you and her write a letter to her congressperson, or just something empower, because again, prayer, while it can be, when done properly, can be very powerful, but when we just pray because we want to not take responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest
things
that's happened. One of the biggest things, that's happened, that allows this, why nothing has happened is people do it for a couple of days.
And then
They're not willing to go the distance. They're like, nope, it's never gonna change. The NRAs are too big. No, you're bigger than the NRA. You're bigger than anything. So
I agree. Thoughts
remind ourselves to take action. And for people who may be more, gun friendly and don't think that major gun control, it's like fine, but come up with a realistic
I have a realistic
something
approach.
Has to happen.
I have a realistic approach. Treat every school like it's an airport. I mean,
did you tell your congressman that? Did you?
I just thought of it yesterday. So,
but so many of us on all of these things, we think because we post it on Facebook and we tell our other friends and stuff that we are taking action, and then we wonder why, nothing's happening. I mean, so that's also a very powerful message that you can tell your daughter. It's like, let's write our congressman. Let's write our congressman, and you tell him, the person who changes the laws, how you feel and what you want.
I'm not a very political person.
But it's not about politics.
It's not.
You do
it's
have
about safety.
so many people say, oh, they're not. They don't want to offend their friends, or they don't want to get into it. It's someone else's job. But then again, it's that same old story of counting on something outside of ourselves, whether it's another person or, in the case of prayer, some power bigger than us to do something on our behalf. Now, I'm not saying don't pray. I'm not saying don't pray, but I'm not saying sometimes you just have to let things go. But of something of this nature, it's so important to teach her to back up her prayer. When she's got boots on the ground, to do what she can. So that others can do what they can, and that's how the whole. It's not like God's like some all-powerful person sitting up there in a chair that's going to flip a switch and there'll be no more school shootings. It's all an interaction of energies. They're going to bring forth this change. So it's not like you can just dial up God, like you're calling 911 and say, God, I've got an emergency, and wait for the cops to come over. But anyway.
Well, I get that. I totally get that. And you're right, it'll be good. It could be a good thing to teach her, like, this is when you want something to happen. These are the things you do. You write letters, you, I don't know, create, a group. And
you do pray.
You
do pray, but then you wait. But after you pray, you wait for the answers. The answers are going to come.
You have to make action happen.
Right.
And if it doesn't, then this is life, babe. Everything you want doesn't always happen. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, welcome to the world. And, as a
But you don't want to teach her that either, because then you're teaching, because so many of us, and I think so many of us are getting that way with these school shootings, because everyone's gotten so frustrated by the political stand, it immediately gets political and immediately gets to like a standoff, and then nothing happens. And it wasn't until this, whatever, I guess it's been a million times ago, but the one in Florida where these young people got empowered, and they were kind of like, F this, and they're not going to, and they're not going to, to stand for it. Because even before this, the people who were passionately for some sort of gun control, the way they weren't really willing to go the distance, as soon as they started feeling like the opposite, they were like, see, nothing's ever going to happen. And then there were, we've got to remind each and every one of us on each and every day that we have so much more power than we think we have, and that and it doesn't matter what, again, this is going back to the royal way. It doesn't matter what other people think, It doesn't matter if other people think you're too loud. It doesn't matter if other people think you're too political. It doesn't matter, just once, just keep going, just keep going. Just, don't take no for an answer. Don't keep beating your head against the wall, but you're told no by one person, you go someplace else, and you don't stop until, don't stop. Don't make the, if something doesn't work, change it around a little bit, do something different, but don't give up. And I feel that, to a large, because I came to the we have to do something about, even though it might not be fair and it might not be whatever, that we have to do, even though I am much more pro-gun than a lot of people. A couple of shootings ago, I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm pro-gun. I don't, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of things that I like that
I'm pro-gun too. I mean, I grew up
around
in Miami and North Carolina, so there are times that my mother saved our lives by having a gun, on her.
But unfortunately, for me, it was not the gun control people that changed my mind. It was the shootings. So,
really,
not that it's up to the gun control people to change my mind, but I think all of us do this with whatever kind of message that we get to people, is we say it in a way that makes sense to us, and then when it falls on deaf ears, or it's not, or the message is not heard, or there's opposition to it, we're like, okay, we lose, we give up, and instead of refining our message and finding new ways to say it, and new people to say it to, and things like and we do it with everything. I mean, this is a bigger one, but
but let me ask you this: what makes you have you carried a gun? You have a gun at home?
I got rid of I had one. My best friend is like a very influential arms dealer. So I got rid of mine because I realized that I was not a good candidate
to have it,
to be a gun owner on several different levels. First of all, I was too emotional. And second of all, if I was actually in a situation that was the reason that I had it, it was not going to go the way that I, imagined when it was not going to end well. So I
got rid of it.
I got rid of mine, and I'm all for them. But anyway, but the bigger point is that so can't take our guns away side. That's fine. Okay, we can't take our gun. We can't take your guns away. Could you please tell us what we can do and do it and show us that it works?
Treat every school like an airport is what we can do.
Well,
every kid that walks in, or every parent to pick up, or it's, but it'll cost a lot of money, and nobody wants to put the money into it, even though we all pay taxes, like God knows.
Well, then how come that didn't happen? I mean, something's got, so until we get all this increase, all these people hired and something like that, we have to do something, even if it's uncomfortable. And this is the same with everything, is we have to be willing to do things that are uncomfortable, unpopular.
And I know I have made for a very boring topic and conversation. I'm sorry. But, I didn't mean to turn it this way, but it's like, oh my God, how many times we're numb to it now. Another fucking crazy white kid, white teenage boy that's tired of playing video games has came and shot up another school. I mean, it blows my mind. These fucking, excuse my French, but who else is it? Can't blame the race card. It's crazy. Well, maybe it is a race card. Crazy white kids, white boys that their daddies don't make them mow the yard or do, what every kid I grew up with had to mow the yard, do stuff, blah, blah, blah. Now, maybe their dads have left. I don't know. But why is it always a freaking white boy doing this?
Well, probably. Well, I don't even. There's a million answers to that, but I think it's a little too late. In that, so I'm sure maybe we should have made a mow the lawn 10 years ago or something like that. But now we've got to do something else. Now it's too late to go and make kids mow the lawn to prevent this, or too late, So whatever anyone's excuse is for why this continues to happen, it's almost like everyone has squandered their time, especially, and I hate to say this, but especially the people who do not think the guns are the problem. It's like, okay, so this is the problem. We don't have prayers, but whatever. Your million reasons for this being the problem. It doesn't matter anymore. It's too late, and we need an immediate solution. So it's not, it's not so far to break down the family. Whatever the excuse is, it's almost like it's too late because no one did anything. No one did anything.
Nobody's fixing it.
No one's fixing it. So.
Now we're numb to it. Oh, the Texas shooting. 10 kids were dead. Nobody gave a shit. I mean, I gave
yeah,
a shit.
especially because it was like, especially because, how convenient to have the royal wedding the next day to just take our mind off the whole thing.
Yeah, it was like, nobody.
And everyone's sick of arguing. Everyone's sick of arguing. They're sick of not, So it was like, okay, so we'll just be like,
we'll
oh yeah.
ignore it, but
we'll just ignore it.
my 12-year-old
And that's how I felt this
prayed
time.
tonight
This one
that
was,
it didn't happen again. It's like you can ignore it by, like filtering it over with some other, something. But it's in these. I can't even take her to a festival. She don't want to go to a festival. She's like, nah. Shootings happen at festivals.
Well, so then you find other things. So then you find other things to do. But you don't. Same as the things I was talking about earlier. You don't give up. You don't give up on your life, and you don't give up on don't give up on the fight either. You don't give up on. And I feel like everyone doesn't have enough energy to go the distance on this, because I don't even really hear the outrage. If I look at my Facebook feed from the past couple of days, most of my friends who are the most vocal and have the most outrage when these things happen are quiet or talking about the wedding or something like that. So
we're numb to it. I mean, it's happening.
And we can't be. It's not fair to your daughter for us to be numb to it, or for us to be tired of for us to be tired of the discussion.
No, the kids aren't
we can't be. So we're just gonna, and that's kind of what appeared to have happened. How many years ago was the first one? The one with the little kids.
Oh,
that was like 5 years. That was like 5 or 6 years ago. There was a push. There was a push.
Sandy Hook.
And then the politicians saw that there was gun owners. Red gun owners and blue gun owners, and we're like, okay, well, we'll just put this on the back burner right now because we've got this election. We've got this election coming up. So we just regardless of what side we're on.
Let me ask you this:
having no opinion on this is that you are. I don't want to say you're as bad as the shooter, but you are complicit in the problem by not having an opinion and by not having a suggestion. You are you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, and that's really.
And it doesn't matter if you have school-age children or not. You still have to be compassionate. Or if you've never had kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are getting targeted like something I've never seen in America. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like these kids in schools, as a country, and I'm not trying to turn this into a political thing, but it'd be like, okay, well, if there were bankers, if every, in the last 6 months there's been 6 school shootings. If people were going in and shooting bankers, then it would be something.
But the other part of the equation is like, look how long this has been going on. Look how long this has been going on in the inner city. Look at how long this has been going on. The crime, the gang on gang crime.
Oh, yeah.
And
I grew up in Miami. I get
the
it.
outrage. Right, exactly.
I get it.
You know, there was not the outrage, but then suddenly, you know, there was already, whatever. It's
a problem. I mean, but
right, and we need to do something, and something happened. We need to do something, even if it's not the final solution. Even if it's not the right thing, we need to do something. So, and not just,
blaze it over.
and that's the message about everything, about everything in life. When there's something that is not working for us, we need to do something. Doesn't matter if it's the right thing. Yeah.
Have to try to fix it.
It doesn't matter if it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but we need to do something different, because otherwise we're just redecorating hell. And yeah, Corinne, you're right. It all goes back to money. It all
they don't want to put
but
money
just because it
into
goes back to money and we don't have that kind of money, it does not mean that we just throw up our hands and say, okay.
Are you kidding me? You pay taxes for schools every year. And I get they don't get enough, but a law could be passed to put detection and, like when you go into the airport, instead of paying a cop to stand there that's not going to do anything, at the doorway, put that little, metal detection, that every person that comes in there, if you don't walk through there, you can't come in. I mean, when 9/11 happened, you see what happened to the airports? They didn't have the money to do it either, but they found it. You got to take your shoes off, they retrofitted and made sure that those security procedures were in place. That needs to happen in every school, elementary, middle, high school. I mean, we're at a 9/11 situation with these school shootings. Like, if nobody doesn't get that, they're idiots. I mean,
anyway, I think there's an important message for. I think it's too late and everyone's a little bit too weary to sit here and revisit
9/11.
Revisit all of the problem, but I think that the overriding message is that when something is not working for us, whether it's a big thing or a little thing, we need to do something. We need to do something different. So anyway, real quick, Christy wants me to pull her a card. I think we will segue over to that for a second.
All right, I'll step off then because I've taken too much time. But I thank you and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Sorry, I had you on mute. I was trying to reach for my cards. But, okie doke. What are these even? Frickin' arm. Okay, so Christy, you have a lot going on this week. Interestingly, I don't even know what these cards are. There's some kind of a box for these. They seem to be some kind of. Oh, good. They're from our dear friend Doreen Virtue. Dear friend, and they're the Doreen Virtue Ascended Master Oracle cards. with Doreen herself being an ascended master. But what I pulled for you, Christy, is the spiritual law of attraction. Ooh, effing secret. But the law of attraction and the real key to manifesting is not really your attitude. I kind of ran out of words here. Okay. The key is, it's not just like, right? Sweep your lawns, exactly. Sweep your lawns before you mow your grass so that you don't kill the elementals. But now she doesn't care about killing the elementals. In fact, she probably would kill the elementals because the elementals is not of her Lord Savior, Jesus Christ. But they're the only cards I have within arm's reach. And I couldn't talk a second longer about the world's problems. But the big key is that our thoughts, our thoughts impact the outcome, because we would rather be right than happy. So I don't know what you've got as far as this big week is coming up, but it is really, really important that regardless of how much you have your heart set on one thing or another, to be totally disconnected from the outcome. You need to have total faith in yourself. That's the big message of tonight's show, I feel. Oh God, now hold on a second. I just got the worst indigestion. Hold on. I have to go get my, whatever this stuff's called.
And I'm stuck with a full mouth now all of a sudden.
Sorry about that. It's all too much. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Anyway, so we would rather be right than happy. And we get comfortable in our circumstances, even if our circumstances kind of suck. So, message for you, directly from Doreen Bolter, is to truly practice the spiritual law of attraction, which for starts, remember, and then who did she channel for? She had that really, oh my God, Marie, I remember. Anyway, I'll take this because I really just got horrible indigestion. Okay. So whatever your big week is, you need to be totally divorced from the outcome. And know that even if there are some setbacks and things don't turn out how you are envisioning them, just have to roll with it. And it's not your final answer. Nothing that's being decided this week is going to set your is set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. Everything is subject to change. So, and the real key to the outcome of these various things, again, like we said over and over and over again, all the power is within you. So if it really examine thoughts on these different things and find the places where you're secretly hoping for a negative outcome so you can reinforce those negative ideas about yourself that have become so familiar. Because secretly, all of us want everything to stay the same, even if it sucks. We want it to stay the same because it's familiar. It's familiar. It's like a pair of sweatpants. It's comfortable and familiar, and all of those sorts of things. I really urge you to examine within you all the places where you sabotage yourself, all the places where you have decided that you are deserving of less than, all of the scripts that run through your head that limit your range of motion, that give all of your power away and give it to other people to turn around and misuse it towards you. And I'm running out of words. I'm running out of words because I still haven't taken my antacid here, and something got me really nauseous. But anyway, hopefully you get that. It's not, the spirit, the law of attraction is not like bibbity boppity boo, something outside yourself, like I dream a genie's gonna give you what you want. The true, true essence of the law of attraction, harnessing your own personal power, realizing that you're incredibly powerful. Whether you use that power to totally sabotage yourself and tie your own hands and limit the opportunities, or you use that power to reach for the stars. It's not a result of your it's not a result of your circumstances. It's not it's really just a result of your mind. It's really just a result of your mindset. So just make sure you're using your full range of motion, and that you're not holding on too tight to or listening, and you don't have any of those old scripts turned up too loud in your head, because that's going to deeply affect the outcomes, whatever's happening this week. And it must be juicy because I'm nauseous.
Awesome. Cool.
Right, the end.
That's
so let
good,
us know
Corey.
how it goes.
Reach for the moon. If you fall short, you're still among the stars. That's a good one.
Right, like look at this girl. Look at whatever. Let's take it back to the Dara, the Meghan Markle. She, how does just some random girl from Los Angeles, from an effed up family, become a princess? How do any of us become a princess? We become princess by claiming our personal power. And when other people first of all, claiming our personal power, cherishing our personal power, and not freaking giving it away to any Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Jane, or whatever, or anything that walks down the street. And secondly, if someone takes your personal power, you go and take it back from them because it's yours. And we have to do that multiple times a day because it's not our natural thinking. We're all too used to, we don't get the guy, we don't get the job, we don't have the money, But anyway, it's the end. I'm out of words.
There you go. All right, there you go.
Yeah, but that's like Corinne says. I just got a few more words. just because, and I don't think it was just fate, Marie, but anyway, Corinne said Gloria's time told her on the street one day that we are afraid of our own power. But now I just forgot what I was going to say. It was really, really profound. But just because we're afraid of our power doesn't mean that we give our power. A lot of times we're like afraid of things, so we just give it. We give it away. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say, so I'm not even going to say any more words. I'm out of words. But I think on another hand, because I was Marie, I was reading something that I'm talking about my spirit animal, Meghan Markle. That she put herself in like not everybody gets set up on a blind date. She put herself in a situation where she could be put, a blind date. It's not like a, like totally random. And we just have to, if we want something, we have to go after. If we want something, we have to go after it. And if we don't get something, we can't blame anybody other than ourselves. Either because we wanted something, for example, and Chris brought this up many times, if to be using the whatever that thing's called I was just talking about. I want a Mercedes. Are you doing, it's not like bippity boppity boo. Are you living a lifestyle? Are you living a lifestyle where a Mercedes, where you're in a position to get one? Are you do you even want a Mercedes? Do you want a Mercedes, or did someone else tell you that you wanted a Mercedes? Like, and by someone else, I mean like a TV show or public opinion or something like that. What do you really want? You have to be clear on what you really want. And then you have to be willing to do what it takes to get, and be willing to do what it takes. Yeah, he had no luck with girls, but he had all those, okay, Harry, poor Harry, poor Harry. No luck with girls. Well, I'm sure that, okay, in poor Harry's defense, how old was he when his mother died? It's really a traumatic. Remember that funeral with that he was just little Harry with that little envelope that said mummy on it? Anyway.
He was older than I thought the other day. I had it in my mind he was like a little type. But I'd say he looked 9, 10, 11, something like that.
Well, she died in not. Okay, how old is he now? He's 33. 33 now, or something like that.
He was 12. He was 12 years old.
Thank you. So he's 12. So that's a pretty impressive. Your hormones are starting to go, and Marie. We should have Marie as our guest because she's she has all this. She has all this information. It'll save us so much time from having to. I love Harry. I love him so much. But Meghan is my spirit animal, whatever. Animal totem. The Markle. Yeah.
So you psyched me out about 6 times during that lot. Like I decided to go and try, and I was so hungry, so I went and cooked some spaghetti fast, and so I was like about 6 times during that. you'd be like, that's it, that's all I have to say. So I had to like quick swallow what I was chewing and unmute and get ready to say something, and then I would, and then Amy goes on, and then Amy gets another.
Well, of course, you know, it's not me speaking, it's Spirit, and Spirit is not, you know.
Spirit is done when Spirit is.
I'm just channeling this information from my higher beings. So I can't control the because, you know, I'm being told this. I'm being told this by my guides. Mm-hmm. My guides don't eat, so I don't know.
I know.
But now I really am done. I'm out of things, and my stomach hurts.
Okay. All right.
Does anyone else have anything to say?
Well, I think that's going to be it. I think that's good.
Oh, yeah, it's 11:46, and I get up at 5, so, yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow we have Diana Monroe is here. We're off Tuesday, Wednesday. Kathleen is back. Thursday we have Salva. She's a day early and $1 short.
And then Saturday we have Corrine De Winter, www.purplecoach.com.
Corrine De Winter. And so, yeah.
I definitely turn in for Corrine is on fire. The other night, she gave me a reading out of the blue. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how it happened. But she was so. You would have thought that Renee Richards had control of the keyboard, the stuff she was coming up with. So if you haven't had a reading with Corrine in a while, I urge you to tune in on Saturday because she's off the frickin' charts.
Awesome. Good job. Okay, kids. Well, thanks everybody. Marie, nice to see you. It was good to have. Oh, my poor brain. It was good to have Shelby here. And
she stayed up late
Stayed up late with the big kids. And, well, you know, I know you have to go to my Facebook page. Because it's just that you have to go to my Facebook page. And we think it's temporarily fixed anyways. Every now and then there's a little glitch or something that, unless you click the exact right thing, it doesn't show me as being live on the air and on IntuiTalks. And so everybody go to my Facebook page. You can either go to IntuiTalks Facebook page, so IntuiTalks.com Facebook page, or Curious Times Radio Facebook page, or Chris.Times. So there's those three places that you'll also be able to see if we're here. And so there you go. Thank you so much, Amy, and nice to catch up with you.
Yeah. All right, sorry, there's music going on in the background. I'm trying to catch up to Marie's knowledge of.
I saw that movie today on my computer for free. The Panther movie. It was pretty good. Panther. It was good. That's the one, and the woman that's in it is the same woman that is in The Walking Dead. The one that carries the. Well, you guys don't watch TV, so you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Anyway, okay, we're all out of here. We're out of here. Let me get my quick page ready. Back tomorrow with Diana. Somebody call in with some paranormal stories. Like, make them up if you have to. You know what I mean? But but help us out tomorrow. And as we usually hit the wall after about 40-45 minutes with Diana, and then we got nowhere to go if we got no callers. So we try to ask people to call with any paranormal experiences, and And so anyway, it just helps keep the show going. That's all. If we have some participation going on. So with all that said, everybody have a good rest of the night and a great Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night if you can make it. And we'll see you the next time, whenever that is. Thanks, everybody, especially Amy. Peace out, everybody. Take care.